Enchanted stars Amy Adams and Patrick Dempsey in a hybrid between classic 2D animation and live-action footage, in an all-ages adventure that spans from fantastical forests and grand kingdoms to New York suburbs and sleazy motels. With music by Alan Menken and lyrics by Stephen Schwartz, it features some truly catchy songs that hold up as well as any other Disney classic. So it's a shame then that Enchanted seems oft forgotten amongst the hordes of other Disney movies. The classical book intro which accompanied movies like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty introduces us to the animated land of Andalasia, alongside some narration by the legend herself, Julie Andrews. The weird aspect ratio you're seeing isn't an error with the edit, but is instead an intentional choice to make Giselle's transition to the real world feel more distinct. And after a song with some of her furry friends as they build her a dream man, a prince shows up outside, but his assistant Nathaniel doesn't want the prince to settle down and sets loose a recently captured ogre, though James Marsden's animated Prince Edward manages to fool the creature once again. The couple meet and immediately fall in love, as is to be expected with a Disney princess story, only for the prince's wicked stepmother to send her plummeting down a magical well straight into Times Square. Amy Adams' Giselle gets swept away in the foot traffic and ends up in Bowery, where she tries to befriend a homeless man, only to get her tiara stolen despite her kindness.
You are not a very nice old man!
He's homeless, Giselle. The system failed him his entire life. He's starving, struggling to eat, while taking the risk of freezing every night because he has no alternative, and here you are. A princess. With a diamond-encrusted tiara that serves no purpose other than to boost your own ego. Viva la revolution! It's about time, of course, to meet Dempsey's Robert Phillip, a divorce lawyer and single father working at a respectable firm in Upper Manhattan. His daughter Morgan, played by child actress Rachel Covey, who went on to write and score her own musical later in life, still believes in fairy tales despite her father's closed-off view. Because, you know, he's an adult. He lets her know that he's going to propose to his girlfriend Nancy, played by Elsa herself, Idina Menzel.
I'm only 6.
You won't always be.
Damn, Enchanted, you didn't have to get real like that. On the ride home, Giselle manages to fall into their laps. Quite literally. And Robert reluctantly allows the distressed woman to stay the night at his, proving he's not a real New Yorker. The next morning, Prince Edward arrives along with a now 3D animated Pip, who was a friend of Giselle's back in the animated world. With the assistance of a catchy song and animals both animated and real, Giselle gives the apartment a bit of a clean-up.
I think the cast of Mice and Pigeons has been some of the finest that I've ever worked with.
The set was full of real trained pigeons,
which Robert doesn't really approve of, just as Nathaniel doesn't approve of the prince's antics aboard a bus. Through a pretty neat blending of 2D animation within the real world, we discover that Nathaniel is working for Edward's evil stepmother, who gives him 3 poison apples to use to kill Giselle and ensure that her stepson never marries, so she never loses her power. The fantasy characters share a meal at Kat's Diner, which you may recognise from When Harry Met Sally. I went there back in 2014 and the pastrami sandwich is to die for. At Robert's office, Part of Your World plays quietly in the background as Giselle looks at the fish. And this scene also features a receptionist, played by Jodie Benson, who voiced the role of Ariel in The Little Mermaid back in '89. In Central Park, Nathaniel tries to give the princess the first of the poison apples.
You want a juicy, sweet caramel apple, maybe?
But quickly finds herself breaking into song. That's How You Know is such a bop, and it's a shame I can't play any of it in the video for obvious copyright reasons, but here's a little bit of info on it. The number took 17 days to shoot, featured 300 extras and 150 dancers, and was choreographed by John O'Connell, who had notably worked on Moulin Rouge back in 2001. Among the backup dancers were several performers from the original West Side Story movie, and even featured a man who appeared in one of my favourite movies, Mary Poppins.
I was a chimney sweep in the movie Mary Poppins. This number is very similar to anything in Mary Poppins in that it's more exciting than most dance numbers. I know that golden era of musicals, and this is back again here.
Robert, Giselle, and Morgan have dinner at this cute little Italian restaurant and briefly discuss Robert's ex, who is implied in a very family-friendly Disney way to have passed away.
Issa apri la martini, miss.
Damn, that's a real Chris Pratt level Italian accent. Director Kevin Lima had previously worked on both Tarzan and the Goofy movie for Disney, but this was his first time bringing those skills into live action. Giselle and Prince Edward reunite and decide to go on a date before they return to the land of Andalasia. And what better a place for their farewell from New York than a fancy ball she had noticed earlier in Central Park. But to attend such a locale requires a certain dress code.
I have something better than a fairy godmother.
Credit card fraud. Disappointed with Nathaniel's failures, Susan Sarandon's Queen Nerissa arrives in the real world. I can't tell if this is racist or not. Our love triangle, or I guess quadrangle? Our love square arrives at the ball, where Robert just so happens to be wearing an outfit very reminiscent of the mannequin of her true love Giselle made at the beginning. But after a short dance, our hero quickly finds herself poisoned by the final of the deadly apples, only to be awoken by true love's kiss. Obviously angered by her plot's failure, Nerissa goes full dragon mode. Whoa, she's a scaly! A pretty fun battle amongst the top of the Woolworth building commences, culminating in a fun inversion of expectations where the princess saves the prince, which also connects to earlier when Robert caught Giselle falling off the billboard. And of course, being a Disney princess movie, they all lived happily ever after. At least, until the sequel. Enchanted is a delightful movie. It's fun for all the family and never promises more than it can deliver. Everyone is hamming it up to the extreme here, especially Timothy Spall and James Marsden. The 2D animation doesn't look amazing though, likely because it was actually animated by an exterior company rather than Disney itself, but it still manages to serve its purpose. The CGI in the real world actually looks pretty good. Some stuff like the apples interacting with the 2D plane looks pretty seamless, and even the massive dragon at the end still holds up pretty well. In the end, it's a great time, and that's all there really is to it.
Let me guess, you're looking for a beautiful girl too?
No. I'm looking for a prince, actually.
Thank you all so much for watching. I actually just got back off holiday from both Rome and London, and had a great time, but I am knackered. But very much looking forward to getting started on some of the exciting stuff we have coming up here on the channel within the next few weeks. I hope you have a beautiful day and an even brighter tomorrow.